Kronoverse was born from the love of video gaming, the idea that blockchain has something important to offer to the world, and our attempt to use that technology to build something fun and new. Cryptofights has been the head of our journey of research and development. And throughout this process, we've learned that Bitcoin is way more powerful than we ever believed. I'm going to share with you a number of the things that we've been working on that I'm really excited about. And we're going to start with an update on Cryptofights.
Hey everyone, this is Adam Kling, the CEO and founder of Kronaverse, bringing you our Q3 developer update sneak peek for Cryptofights. In Cryptofights, you fight in real time against other players for cash in a Roll20 based system, which was made famous by pen and paper RPGs, such as Dungeons & Dragons. When you start, you allocate strength, dexterity, and intelligence to your fighter, and you fight against other players for cash. Cryptofights has two core principles based on transparency and decentralization. This means that every match that you play can be fully audited for high-stakes gaming within the esports industry. Our dice-based combat system gives the player transparency of how the state of battle is processed, and our decentralized logic architecture validates who processes that state. This is superior to traditional cloud server-based games where you just have to trust that the outcome is truthful and accurate. Imagine playing a high-stakes esports tournament worth millions of dollars and trusting some obscure server to decide your score. Not anymore with the Kronoverse platform in Cryptofights. And this is the future of esports. Decentralized gaming is also a huge part of the Kronoverse platform. All of the game's logic resides on the blockchain, so it is public as well as fixed and can never be changed or deleted. New versions can be rolled out without affecting the rules and code of the previous versions. So this means everything from the cosmetic properties in the code can all be located on a blockchain ledger for how it operates inside of a game instead of a cloud server. During battle, players are prompted to make choices about which skills to use. Even though our skill tree is based on strength, dexterity, intelligence concepts, players are free to play around and unlock different unrelated skills and build their own unique synergies. As we were drafting the skill tree, we asked ourselves, what would Dungeons & Dragons look like if it were focused on a 1v1 PvP competitive experience? This unlocks over 50,000 combinations you can use with our available skills. Entering battlegrounds with a transparent and solid decentralized architecture are the building blocks for empowering players to compete against each other and acquire real value. Cash is one, but also item drops that can help players climb up the battleground ladder to higher increasing stakes. That's it for now. Stay tuned for our December update when we will be inviting you to come and play our beta and give us feedback. Follow us on social media for news and updates, as well as our email mailing list for important announcements.
So esports is a multi-billion-dollar industry, rivaling the popularity of professional sports. Like professional athletes, players submit themselves to drug tests to ensure that there's not an uncompetitive advantage. Unfortunately, the platforms that currently runs on don't allow the same level of scrutiny. In a normal multiplayer game right now, when a player takes an action, they submit their intention to a server, which does something with it. It's not really clear what it is. And it calculates an outcome of a new state and then communicates that to all other players. It's really a black box, and there's not a whole lot of visibility into what's going on. Bitcoin allows you to record data with every transaction. And as we start to apply rules for how we interpret that data, we can turn this gaming system on its head. If players record their intention instead to Bitcoin transactions, and other players watch the blockchain for appropriate events, all players are watching the same chain and applying the same rules and can come to the same knowledge of what the state of the game is without actually relying on any third-party server at all. This provides a lot of value to the esports industry, as everything is completely auditable. It's very regulator-friendly. Players can have an increased trust that what's happening is fair. And no one controls the data. It's all publicly recorded. Now, tokens, you can use the same approach of applying rules that's written on the blockchain to interpret different transactions that people have made. And you can achieve token solutions with that. Now, tokens are a claim to ownership of property, of a thing. It can be a real world, it can be a deed to a house, or it can be a concert ticket. It can be something in the real world, such as a claim to a certain amount of precious metal, or it can be your digital pet. In Kronoverse, everything is a token. Your Cryptofights fighters, weapons, armor are your property. But also, your turn is literally your turn. You own it. It belongs to you, and only you can take an action on that turn. When you win a battle in Cryptofights, you win the battle. It is transferred to you, and you have claimed the experience points that are stored within that token. Now, tokens have mostly been used to this point for simple accounting purposes. Cryptocurrencies, there's simple logic that can be built into them for transferring from one person to another, for governance of the token, and for issuance of the token. Gaming needs something far more capable than that. We've been working for the last 6 months with the developers of the upcoming Run framework. Run is an open source library that takes tokens to the next level. You develop in standard JavaScript, and anything you can do in JavaScript is executable on the state of your tokens. But the code itself for that logic is tokenized and stored on the blockchain, which means everyone has full visibility of the logic of how you interpret what's happening on chain by simply looking at a transaction on chain. Tokens can allow you to, they call these tokens jigs. Jigs can allow you to transfer ownership like tokens, but also allow you to compile complex state changes and validations of what's going on, all within a token structure. They also allow you to store BSV within your digital objects, which is pretty cool. So here I'm not going to go into the details too much, but I've got an example of a simple game of tic-tac-toe that I've built using the Run framework. There are 2 things you can do with a game of tic-tac-toe. You can start a new game, which is the init function up there, and you can take an action. All this logic is standard JavaScript, and yet when I set that owner property, it's literally transferring this token to another player based on the code that's executed on chain. So jigs are an important building block of gaming logic, but there's a lot more infrastructure that's required in order to come up with a really good user experience and to have a game that's actually fun for players to play. We've built out this infrastructure in such a way that we're opening it up to other developers to use. And there's some really powerful things I'd like to share with you. We start with our gaming wallet. Gaming wallet allows players to easily manage their keys with no trouble at all, and it plugs directly into native development environments. So it can plug into an iOS app, an Android app, Unity app, web app, anything, and it provides an interface to your tokens, your jigs, and all the game logic held within. Games can subscribe to events on chain through the wallet, such that when it's your turn, you'll actually be notified, and it knows how to listen and how to provide an interface for you to interact and take your turn. All the configuration for the wallet is also written in standard JavaScript and also stored on chain. For simpler games, all that's needed to implement it is to deploy your jigs, to build the wallet into your app, and that's it. There's no server. For that game of tic-tac-toe, players could simply interact with the jigs by simply watching the blockchain and interacting with them in their device. Now, for more complex games, we need to be able to do some more automation. Some of that stuff that the black box web server provides in the existing environments, we need to be able to do. We need to be able to introduce random numbers. Those can be just simple random numbers where they're trusted, or they can be provably fair random numbers. We need to be able to introduce timers and timestamping. And lastly, we need to be able to provide data from the external world into games. So we can build oracles. These are our chronicler bots. It's built in the exact same way as the gaming wallet, in that it's JavaScript code, it's recorded online, there are triggers in there you can watch for specific Bitcoin events, and you can react to them immediately. These are really cool because they can run anywhere. You can run them on your home computer, you can run them in our robust infrastructure, or you can even run them in a web page, which means you can build app-specific block explorers that are automatically updated as soon as there's any changes to the state online. It provides a really, really interactive way for people to watch what's going on and even stream gaming live right to their web browser by simply watching what's going on chain. Now, gaming requires different performance requirements than most blockchain applications. Games can require sub-second or even like tens of millisecond response time to provide a good user experience to the players. To help accomplish this, we've provided a Bitcoin provider. Now with this, all transactions for games are transmitted directly to us. We can locally validate them, we can broadcast them, but we can also start processing on the outcome of the battle immediately. So we can understand what's going on, and we can nudge the gaming wallets and the bots that are watching that there's new information that they need to update. And so we can get really quick turnaround where we will push information to our clients immediately as soon as transactions are sent to us. We also, because we understand the data stored within the games, we provide a comprehensive state cache of every state of the game at every point in time, which allows for very fast boot up. We allow provider pay transactions, so your players don't actually have to have any Bitcoin in order to participate in games. We even have premium APIs to access all this information, such that you can run derivative projects such as a third-party betting house that watches what's happening in a game in real time, and where people can take bets, and it's completely separate from the game development process, but it's all public and it's all provided on-chain, and this is a view of what's happened on-chain. Now, the more transactions we can process and the faster we can process those transactions, the more types of gaming that unlocks. A fast-paced game, such as a first-person shooter or a MOBA or a real-time strategy game, can produce lots and lots of transactions. They can do them very fast. And although Bitcoin SV is cheap, when you start adding up thousands of transactions, it becomes a significant cost. So we have come up with a custom payment channel solution called we're calling a state chain. This allows near instant validation of transactions and zero mining fees. We can provide an unlimited chain length, so you don't have to worry about the 25 descendant limit of unmined transactions in a mempool. And best of all, it's a single line of code. Simply set a property on your jig, and our infrastructure will automatically route these transactions through a state channel rather than broadcasting the transactions online. Now, Cryptofights, we've been very intentional to make it a game of skill. But at the same time, there are still dice involved in the outcome of a game, and we are playing for cash, which leads to some regulatory hurdles that we've needed to overcome. When you sign up for Cryptofights, you're actually signing up for a Kronoverse ID. And before you can deposit any funds, we actually go through and validate that the player is who they say they are for anti-money laundering regulations. We provide per application geofencing so that developers can lock down their application to where it's legal and where it's not. And players have to be in the jurisdictions where it's legal to play. Best of all, our identity process works across all games that are in the platform. And so you only have to verify your identity one time. And any game that's in the platform that wants to, that needs to, for regulatory purposes, know who you are, can rely on the fact that we've already verified that information. We provide both crypto and fiat on-ramps and withdrawals of your funds. And we track all those funds on our on-chain tokenized accounting system. So, as mentioned in the video earlier, Cryptofights will be opening up for a tech preview by the end of the year. And we are signing up developers for our developer waiting list to take part in the Kronoverse platform. You can't see that very well, but Kronoverse.io is where you can sign up for that wait list. And thank you.